Here's the natural broadcaster, Jeff Marek, of the sheet on the Nation Network.
Can I ask a question to begin this segment? Matt, did you have to widen the door frames to fit Blake's head in the studio today after that comment?
Man.
By the way, the best way to keep you buying privates is complimenting with things like that. Oh, you're a natural. Let me sign up for a dozen more.
That's true. Am I being used, Jeff?
You say that to all the athletes.
I think that's awesome. That's great. Hey, boys.
How you doing? Good to see you again. It's been a little while here. But and here's the thing, Jeff is flipping the script on us. He has an Easter egg for us, which we'll get to.
Okay. I was thinking last night, I'm like, I gotta do, I guess, like the middle of August. Let's do something a little bit different here. I know. And it's gonna be a question about general managers in the NHL and under the umbrella of one of the most interesting topics to discuss this offseason. That's the only way I'm going to chum the waters for what's still to come a little bit later on here.
All right.
Okay.
I got my thinking cap on.
Okay.
Wheels are turning. But you mentioned August.
Yep.
You know, several years ago, the NFL went to a model where they're like, we need to have some sort of event in every month. We should be a 12-month league to keep up interest. Now, granted, they play a shorter season, right? Their athletes are on the field to a lesser degree. Is there anything the NHL could do to spice up, liven up August? Like, is it okay for a major sports league to basically go to sleep for a full month? What do you think?
So we don't rehearse anything on this collab that we do once a week. There's a couple of texts that are exchanged, but like one of my favorite things to talk about in the off season, and I really do think that it'd be a smart thing for the NHL to do. One, to your point about keeping the sport hot, or at least warm during the off season. You never want it to go entirely dormant. But two, I think it's really not just a good thing for the NHL to do this, but also an interesting thing for hockey fans and something that might even be able to generate revenue and something that might even be able to put a couple of bucks in minor pro hockey players' jeans. I think every summer the NHL should do an R&D camp league. And what you have to, it's essentially, everyone has a number of different ideas about how they want to change the game, the configuration of it, the number of players. We've talked about rule changes. Everybody has an idea for what they think might be able to work at the NHL level. And I always say to myself, going back to, the lockout of 04-05 and, the Shanahan Summit, et cetera, they tried these ideas. Scotty Bowman had a number of different, reconfigurations of lines on the ice and different things were tried. I really do think, and it has to be the players have to be of a quality so it resembles an NHL game. NHLers are not going to participate in this, but maybe like ECHL guys, do an R&D league where you try out all the different ideas that people have had internally, externally, just to see if they work. Because once upon a time, the American Hockey League used to be used as a sort of kind of like a research. It's not that anymore. And I understand why, because when you call a player up, you don't want them to have to relearn the game because they've been playing with a couple of different rules than there are in the NHL.
No tag up offsides.
All that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Like the AHL was sort of always used that way, and it's not anymore. I think that there would be value in it, but I mean, I'm so selfish. I just want hockey 12 months of the year. Do you think there's value in doing a yearly summer R&D league? Maybe you only do it for 3 weeks, but you try out a lot of the ideas that, pass underneath general managers' noses at GM's meetings every year.
We used to talk about this a little bit with your friend and ours, Pierre Maguire, where Pierre would say, we got such a great game. Why are we always tinkering? And Blake and I would say, well, that doesn't mean you can't improve. And yeah, some of those things that happened in the AHL as tests and pilot projects have come to the NHL. Like, I think that's very worthwhile. I'm just not sure how big that gets commercially. Like, I just don't know how much fan interest is drawn in that. I've wondered about a top prospects game. Like, get the best prospects for every team, put them together, and, let's watch the best young.
Yeah, you've got Holinka going on right now as you speak. So it would.
But those are kids. Those are, 17
draft eligibles.
Well. Yeah. They're not yet NHL affiliated, I guess. Is what I'm saying.
You want the kids that have been drafted.
Exactly.
The cupboards. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, play the cupboards.
If I can circle back to, the idea behind it is, and again, like, listen, we all love the game. The game is wonderful, yearbook answer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you don't keep changing, you become Latin, right? You become a lost language. You become a lost sport. Like, you keep, whether you like it or not, you have to keep evolving to meet the tastes of the modern sports fan. And right now, theoretically, everyone from Coley Campbell all the way down discuss it, but it's all conceptual. Let's see let's see what happens if, my idea of, no face-offs in the neutral zone, put that to a test for a 3-period game.
I've got a suggestion for you.
Okay.
Different one. Because this is the most underrated hockey league in the country. A bracketed Canadian university tournament.
I love it.
Because there's affiliation. The problem with what you're bringing up is fans aren't cheering for anything. You might get
affiliation. No,
what's that?
Fans aren't cheering for anything with affiliation.
No, I'm saying in Jeff's term.
Yeah, you're just doing this for capital H hockey. You're not doing this because you're for the Canucks.
But you might get fan affiliation. You might get fan affiliation with university. Hey, you might be able to combine these two ideas because the Canadian university player is unlikely to be blossoming into a pro player. Yeah. But it's really good hockey, and we don't watch enough of it.
No.
Yeah, listen, and U Sports is that one area too, and they've kind of changed a lot of the rules now, like certainly around pro players going back to play U Sports hockey. Yeah. You don't have to sit out a year anymore. So like they're trying, like, as we all wrestle with what the new development model is going to look like. U Sports is that one area that's going to be dinged here big.
The other thing that I've always been curious with is a true Canada Cup. Provincial teams.
Oh, the provincial team thing, yeah.
Or Prairies, Maritimes, maybe regional teams, but provincial regional teams. Yeah. I would love if the day came where NHL players bought into that.
I can't see it. Sensitivity around injury, obviously, in the offseason when they should be training. I don't think the NHL players want to do anything other than just use their summer to rehab, get stronger, practice, and get themselves ready for the next season. I can't, again, like, even with my R&D idea, NHLers aren't going to go for it, and the PA would balk at that too.
The problem with what we're talking about at all levels
is insurance.
No, it's culture change. These guys, for the most part, have routines in August where maybe the first part of the month is still vacation, holiday, whatever, off season, and then as the month goes on, it's ramp up for training camps. So you would have to change the culture of what a hockey player anticipates in the off season to get them on the ice in any meaningful way.
There's something we don't really talk about a lot. Every now and then I'll bring it up with a retired player. But what happens in your mind when that routine is finally broken? Your first year of retirement, what is September like? Like, what happens when, like, you're so, like, to your point, like, you get on that hamster wheel when you're how old, and you stay on that, and that is your hamster wheel that goes all the way through your career until you're done. What do you do that first September where you're not going to a camp? Like, what goes on? Lost, yeah.
Some of the ex-athletes lost when that first benchmark comes around for what they have known for the previous 10, 15, 20 years. The other thing I wonder about is, could you make the RFA deadline September 1st? Right now it's December 1st, right? If you don't sign by December 1st. Now, I'm not sure you could have the punishment as harsh as you can't play the season if you're not signed by September 1st. But if you set some sort of incentive or some sort of, then you would have player signings and perhaps trades as well in the month of August. And of course that would engage fans, but we'll see.
How about this one? This has been proposed before. Who was I talking to that proposed this? I'm trying to remember who I was talking to. It'll come to me. I was talking to this on the show not too long ago. How about trade periods?
Like transfer windows in soccer?
Bingo. Like, you have a certain amount of time, 2 or 3 times a year, where you're allowed to make trades. Right now, it can happen anytime. It can even happen post trade deadline. They just can't play the playoffs. You can artificially create buzz at certain points of the season, so you have a couple of windows, and maybe, Maddie, to your point, maybe one of those windows is in August.
Yeah, I like that for one reason. You can put it under the guise of the players deserve to have an off summer, not wondering if they're going to get traded or not. And so you say, we're going to concentrate it all in this 1 week, third week of August.
Mm-hmm. And then you get several trade deadlines, if you will, over the course of the year.
Yeah.
Damn it, Jeff. I think we've stumbled.
Is that an idea?
Marek for commissioner.
No. This is not me. I'm trying to remember who it was. I was talking.
As far as I'm concerned, it's the Marek.
We'll retroactively.
No, do not call it the Marek. I know who it was. You know who it was? You know who brought this up with me? Former agent, him and Ken Hughes created M5, sold to Cortex, Anton Thun.
Mm.
This was a former agent, Anton Thun, who has been through so many CBA battles for so long as well. This was Anton Thun's idea.
Because here's what I'll say. The transfer windows in soccer, particularly the one that precedes the English Premier League season, which we've just had, those are huge deals in Europe, and they're even getting bigger in the U.S. Like, I look at ESPN.com, and they have all this stuff on transfer window for mostly European football, and you go, holy cow, it's pretty big when ESPN is writing about this, promoting this, pumping this up.
Yeah.
With really no American teams and very few American players even involved. So that is quite interesting, Jeff.
Or you have an offer sheet window.
There you go. I like that as well.
Well, you want to get everyone paying attention?
That actually is a thing, though, already.
There is a date where an offer sheets start. It's just, they're kind of like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. You hear a lot about them. Nobody really sees them all that often.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Elias Pettersson's revenge comment across the pond in Sweden last week got a lot of run here. Yeah, we all seem to love it too. I just love the acknowledgement, and I love the time to move forward. Clean sheet.
The one thing we all love about athletes, for the purposes of this show, the one thing we love about hockey players is if you give them an issue to rally around. Usually it's the us versus them, the us versus the world. They're all out to get us. How many times have you heard an athlete when they win a championship, they said we couldn't do this? Who said that? But anyway, it's an issue to rally around. You give hockey players an issue. I don't care who you are. You make it to the NHL in a lot of ways. You're tough. You might not be physically tough, but mentally you're tough because you've heard everything about your game and you've been given a million reasons to quit. You haven't. So one of the things that I think we all love about hockey players is something like we just heard from Elias Pettersson, and that is that kind of defiance that you want. I mean, you don't want a meek sort of response or a meek comment from Elias Pettersson. Like, right now is the time for, anger and as to his point, like revenge and vengeance. And I'm coming back with this, newfound enthusiasm and training hard. And that's what you want. Right. And if you're a Vancouver Canuck fan, if you're Vancouver Canuck management, that's exactly what you want to hear from Elias Pettersson. How many times did we sit here, and all three of us, saying things like, if you can find your solutions internally, that's always better. And if all of a sudden you have a re-inspired and healthy Elias Pettersson, man, that takes care of a lot of problems for the Vancouver Canucks next season. I absolutely loved hearing that from Elias Pettersson. Again, I don't cheer for teams, I cheer for players. I really want this guy to have a great season next year.
I wouldn't have been surprised if he just hid all summer. So this is the opposite of that. He's coming out and he's done it a couple times now.
Yep.
And he's not a Kachuk brother. Right? He's not someone that goes out of their way to find the camera and to find a microphone. Quite the opposite. So to hear that from Elias Pettersson, I think that there's a lot of value in that. And if I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan, I'm pretty happy about that.
Any Vitali Kravtsov intel?
I mean, to me, it's a smart gamble by the Vancouver Canucks. Man, that's a high AHL upside. That's a high AHL salary too, but understand why. I know it didn't work out the first time. I always wonder for players when that light goes off. There's the old saying in life, we're all born with two lives, and our second life begins when we realize we only have one. And I always wonder about athletes too, when you realize, your second sports life begins when you realize you only have one and you may have squandered it. Like, what happens, what changes within you? We've seen it happen before. I know it's rare. But to me, this is a very low risk gamble by the Vancouver Canucks. And if it hits, fantastic. To me, it's a really smart move.
You caught the discussion this week about Pavel Zacha and Casey Mittelstadt as potential solutions. Yeah. Yes. What did you know about that Boston situation and those two players?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think there are a lot of things that are on the table for the Boston Bruins. I like Zacha. Mittelstadt to me has still been too inconsistent. Zacha helps you in a lot of different ways and can play a lot of minutes. I think that, and interestingly enough too, like when the trade was made, Bruins fans were saying, all we gave up was Eric Haula. Like that's it. A really nice bit of business there to bring Zacha in the first place. Listen, he's a left-hand shot for the purposes of the Vancouver Canucks. That gives you, 3 left-hand shots down the middle. Not ideal, but nonetheless. I think that, if you expect your second line center to deliver between 40 to 50 points, that's Pavel Zacha. I think sometimes where you get picked in the draft biases people's opinion of you. Colby Cohen brings up the good point all the time. Like, at a certain point, you are not your draft status. You are not your draft pick. You are just a player in the NHL. You're no longer a former first rounder Pavel Zacha. You're just Pavel Zacha. To me, if I'm the Vancouver Canucks and you gave me a choice, one or the other, I would take Pavel Zacha, even though Mittelstadt is younger. Interesting with Casey Mittelstadt, there was, can I tell a quick draft story? It's the summertime. Here we are, middle of August. This would have been the 2017. Let me check this. I think it's the 2017 draft, the Heischer draft. So the Buffalo Sabres, and this was told to me by someone who's no longer with the Sabres. That year, going into that first round, Buffalo was set that if he was available when Buffalo selected 8th, they were taking Martin Necas. That was going to be their guy. And they get to the draft, and Elias Anderson goes to the Rangers, and Buffalo's on the board, and everybody around the table is thinking, all right, there we go. We got the guy that we wanted. Martin Necas is going to be a Buffalo Sabre. And it would have been Jason Botterill and Randy Sexton stand up and say, we're taking Casey Mittelstadt. Now, the one thing they need to know about the Buffalo Sabres is there's a real bias to college players specifically. The following season they drafted Rasmus Dahlin first overall, and if Dahlin or if the Buffalo Sabres weren't selecting first overall but selecting second, they would have taken Brady Tkachuk, because they have they're a really strong desire to get as many college players on that roster as possible. But I always remember that
Pagula is such a
hard at Penn State. Yeah. Big supporter of college hockey. And listen,
is that also because Buffalo doesn't spend the money on scouting in Europe like other teams?
I don't think that necessarily has a lot to, okay. I think in Terry Pagula's mind, like, if the Buffalo Sabres are full of U.S. college players, then I think he'd be real happy if he could make that work. But they've always under Pagula had a strong pro USA hockey slant, specifically with college players. But it just kind of caught everyone around the table by surprise, because what are we here for? We have Casey Mittelstadt up here, but we were all agreed that Martin Necas was gonna be our guy. But nonetheless, whenever I hear Casey Mittelstadt, I always sort of remind myself of that story. Again, if I'm Vancouver, I'm going one way or the other. And this goes back to, maybe I'm biased because I watched him play with Sarnia a bunch on a really good line with was Travis Konechny, and I'm going to reach way back here for a name, Nikita Korestelev. I reach way back in the annals of time, maybe one of the best lines in junior hockey at that time. I've just always liked Zacha And I think that he would. I think if I'm choosing between one or the other, I'm going with him.
All right. Easter egg time. What you got?
Okay.
We're going to reverse it. My God. Okay.
Does Blake get to play too, or is this just for me?
No, this is for both.
I can phone a friend. Okay.
You can. Yes. So this is for you and Blake. So I just mentioned Jason Botterill a second ago, and he is one of the answers to this question. Now, first of all, if you were going to throw a guess, how many general managers in the NHL right now played college hockey?
I can say a very low amount. I'm going to go like 3.
I think Kent Hughes played college hockey.
He had Middlebury, yes. Division III.
Botterill would be
Michigan,
another.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Don't name them off because the answer is 13.
Wow,
Holy
really?
Cow.
So the answer is 13. Can you name 5? And I'll let you include Kent Hughes and Jason Botterill since you already mentioned them. So really, you just got to name 3 more. Kent Hughes played Middlebury, Division III.
Right.
Jason Botterill.
So we're talking more American guys here, Blake. Did Bill Guerin play college hockey?
He played at Boston College, sir. Yes, he did.
That's correct. Did Bill Zito play college hockey?
That is a great one. That's one. See, he played college hockey at Yale. Good for you.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
Well done. Well done.
Mike Greer.
Mike Greer played at BU, the general manager of the San Jose Sharks. Want to hear the list? So this is what I do when I'm bored. This is what I'm bored.
I thought they'd be too old, like pre-college.
Well,
boom.
I just thought American GMs because back in that era, you would have had a lot of American. So
yep. So here's your list. Okay, Chris Patrick, Capitals, played at Princeton. Craig Conroy, Calgary, played at Clarkson.
Right.
Mike Greer, to your point, BU. Jason Botterill, Michigan. Chris Drury, BU.
Yes.
Now Kelly McCrimmon, both University of Michigan and played for the Brandon Wheat Kings. So that goes back far enough when this wasn't an issue. You mentioned Bill Guerin, Boston College. Don Waddell, Northern Michigan. Tom Fitzgerald, Providence. Don Sweeney, Harvard. Kevin Adams, University of Miami, Ohio. Bill Zito, as you mentioned, Yale. Kent Hughes, Middlebury. Now, the one caveat here is if you believe that, Kevin Adams, maybe on the last days of his mini art, we wonder if Jarmo Kekalainen is the next general manager in waiting. And if he does indeed eventually take over the GM position in Buffalo, he attended Clarkson, so it would still be 13. Yeah. So if you're ever wondering how do general managers around the NHL feel about this new development model with CHLers going to college,
they're like,
I'm guessing there are 13 specifically that are going like, you know what? If you're Chris Drury, you're probably telling Malcolm Spence, enjoy Michigan. You'll be there a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jeff, this has been illuminating, and
you did great.
Wow.
You were awesome. That was really good.
I didn't crumble before the pressure. The other thing I'll say, you say Latin a dead language, but carpe diem, ad nauseum, ad hoc, bona fide, de facto, quid pro quo, etc. All Latin phrases that endure.
But it's become a clip and cliche language now. How about that?
Well, hey, but it's still around. And in your case, on this hit, Veni, Vidi, Vici.
Wow.
Well done.
That's awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Till next week.
Enjoy the presser, Blake.
There you go.